James Kaufman, World News Report today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a show trial to remember. As you may or may not know, we have a judge that's 92 years old. He's a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen. He was appointed by Bill Clinton back in the 90s, and he's ruled against Trump several times. That would include a ruling against Trump, denying Trump the ability to move his hush money case to a federal court. That would also include a ruling against Trump trying to actually deport Venezuelans back to Venezuela. The judge is extremely liberal, or they call him extremely liberal, and he's an Orthodox Jew. Now, I personally believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is running this entire show and has Trump by the huevos, but you'll have to make your own decision on that one. This is going to be humorous, and my gut feeling is Maduro is going to walk on this. I really do believe that. Let's listen to what Fox has to say, and then we'll listen to what CNN has to say. Please also remember that this judge has already told Maduro that he might be eligible for bail. That's completely laughable. And he's being afforded all due process and U.S. constitutional rights by this judge. This is going to get interesting. Would this have not been much easier if done exactly like Osama bin Laden? One to the forehead and buried at sea?
All of this stuff from the judge translated to him by an off-screen translator to ensure that he understood. He said he did. Interestingly, he said after the judge read him a version of Miranda rights and included the fact that he had the right to potentially be released on bail, Maduro said he was unaware of those rights. And it struck me that he's coming from a very different legal system, because it seemed like he had never even conjured the notion that he's entitled to an attorney, he may be able to apply for bail, and he has the right to use, to stay silent. He has the right that none of the material that he has said outside the purview of counsel necessarily has to come in. So it's interesting to see him sort of taking that in a system very different from the one I'm sure he's used to.
So he's been afforded every right that they can think of. And again, this is the Southern District of New York, which is famous, right? Or infamous, I should say. Now, if Fox is the right wing of the mainstream media, CNN's definitely the left wing of the mainstream media. Let's listen to what they have to say about Maduro's first appearance in court.
Axios has some blind quotes from people they say are Democratic lawmakers. One who said, quote, "Nuance is dead in politics." This person was complaining that all Democrats were just condemning this. "Everything Trump touches must be bad according to the base." This person continued, "I think it looks weak. If you don't acknowledge when there is a win for our country, then you lose all credibility." The implication here that, in a way, removing Maduro is a win. What do you think of this criticism apparently coming from a Democrat?
Well, John, I wish they would come out, on the record. We can have a healthy debate. I think the American people, whether they agree with you or disagree with you, they want to know where you stand. And so those Democrats really should come out and, on the record, let's have a debate. This is not a win for the American people. Running Venezuela and talking about putting American lives at risk to go into Colombia or Cuba or wherever it may be is not in our interest.
With all that said, let's not for one moment forget that, Sequoia voting machines and systematic voting machines are owned by Venezuelan businessmen, and they have helped fix elections all over the world. Could this be part of Trump's tell-all, show-all as far as him losing the 2020 election? Well, let's listen to this gentleman.
News networks claim that there's absolutely no fraud and the smartmatic software is the safest thing since sliced bread. Well, guys, this is one of your own news reports from roughly 2006.
Antonio Mujica and his partner Alfredo Anzola received a small business loan from the Venezuelan government only months before the recall election. These corporate registration documents from Venezuela show the Venezuelan government owned 28% of the stock of another company they started, Bizta, which adapted voting software for the smartmatic machines in the 2004 elections. The same document shows a Chavez government minister, Omar Montillo, was on the board of directors. The Chavez government gave Bizta, Smartmatic, and another company a $91 million contract to run voting machines for the 2004 election. The next year, the owners of Smartmatic, primarily owned by Venezuelan businessmen, bought Sequoia, one of the top electronic voting system companies in the United States, for $16 million. Smartmatic is a labyrinth of international holding companies owned by Venezuelan businessmen. Smartmatic Group NV of Curacao, Netherlands, and Antilles owns Smartmatic International BV of Amsterdam, Netherlands, owns Smartmatic Corporation of Florida, which bought Sequoia Voting Systems of California, USA. When Smartmatic bought the U.S. voting machine companies, the U.S. government did not review the sale. Many experts say those voting machines were manipulated in Venezuela to give President Hugo Chavez a victory.
So what happened in this election, no matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, what we all saw on November 3rd was that Trump was way ahead in the swing states by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of votes, more than they probably anticipated. Then everything got shut down, and then in the morning, Joe Biden had popped up ahead. Well, gee, George.
Exit polls done by the U.S. firm Penn, Schoen & Berlin had Chavez losing 41% to 59%. But the next day, Chavez declared victory, reversing the score, saying he won 59% of the vote.
Everything was computed in favor of the government. So the only explanation is that the smartmatic machines had been programmed in that way.
A Harvard mathematician crunched the numbers on the Venezuelan election.
It had to be the smartmatic system. All these machines talk to a central computer and report on their results. And in that mechanism, as they communicate with the central machine can report anything.
Smartmatic is technically based in Boca Raton, Florida, but the president of the company, Jack Blaine, testified to the Chicago City Council. Fewer than a dozen Smartmatic employees work in Florida. The majority of the workers are based in Venezuela.
You couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, guys, humbly speaking, this is CNN's own reporting, which is why people are probably making an exodus from most of their mainstream medias and an exodus from states that a Democrat run, where they're crushed. The truth is the people have been crushed forever. And I know a lot of people in California, and they all voted. All the ones that I know voted Trump this time because they can't survive it. Here's the truth from my view, is that bogus reporting has gone all the way back to the days of Gilgamesh, on the Epic of Gilgamesh, and further back than that, the days of Nimrod, the Tower of Babel. I'm praying, and I ask you to pray with me, that all of this gets sorted out. I'm also praying for this election in Georgia. Pray with me. All of you in Georgia, go out and vote.
So, folks, could this be the ultimate revenge? Well, all signs point to Nicolas Maduro knowing everything about the elections being fixed all around the world. And hey, if Trump's not involved, which he obviously has not been, that means it's, well, the Democrats that were somehow running the show via bribery, via extortion, or whatever it might have been. God bless. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please share and subscribe. And always remember that anything's possible in Bizarro World.